Hours from the first presidential debate here at Hofstra University that could draw up to 100 million viewers. So I want to bring in Joel Silberman from Democracy Partners. He's helped prepare members of Congress for debate, and also Hugh Hewitt, NBC News, MSNBC political analyst and host of the Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network. To both of you, I appreciate your being with me. And Hugh, starting with you, I know you've been with us quite a bit. I want to talk about expectations, especially when you have Robbie Mook just coming out and saying, you know what, this is a double standard when it comes to this, and Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Who is winning the expectations game with considering both Trump or Clinton?
Well, Clinton is highly expected and favored to win this. She's done 38 one-on-one debates. Donald Trump has been on the stage. I was there 4 times when there are a number of people to play off of and a whole lot less time to fill. So I think Secretary Clinton is very, very heavily favored. I would expect Joel would agree with me on that.
Actually, yeah, Joel, yes, I would.
Go ahead, Joe.
I would agree with you that Secretary Clinton is expected to win, but I will say the expectations game are a trap, because they seem to be saying that as long as Mr. Trump stands up and doesn't sigh or flip his lid or go off the rails, that was presidential, and that's hardly a presidential standard. This isn't America's Got Presidential Talent.
Well, let's talk about that, because when it comes to the preparations on both, we know that they are different. And this is what Donald Trump's running mate, Mike Pence, he was on CBS's Face the Nation, and he talked about Trump's debate prep. Here's what he had to say.
I think Donald Trump has been preparing for this debate for his entire life. He's built a great business. He's traveled the country.
All right, Joel, is that enough, knowing he hasn't been having any mock debates, he hasn't been having any kind of stand-ins, and that's pretty much, he's going to be himself, is what his aides are saying?
Well, I don't think it's enough in the real world, but in Donald Trump's world, who's been running as a campaign by headlines, probably that makes him very happy. The question is, will the media hold him accountable? Will we actually ask tough questions, or will we let him get away with a celebrity interview? That's the real question.
Well, that's also interesting, Hugh, because you've been talking about that in your conversation also with Carol Simpson. When it comes to the role of the moderator here and how much fact-checking should be coming into play, is that going to be much of the focus, or are we going to be focusing and seeing on which versions of these candidates are going to be coming up to set the tone for this?
Well, the left and Secretary Clinton supporters are urging Lester Holt to fact-check. And what they mean by that is go after Donald Trump differently than you go after Secretary Clinton. But I would suggest they should rethink that. Because if, for example, Secretary Clinton says, as she often does, I did not send or receive anything marked classified, do they really want Lester Holt to say, Secretary Clinton, that's a lie, and Director Comey has testified? If she says, I turned over all my work-related emails, do they really want Lester Holt to say, Secretary Clinton, that's a lie, and Director Comey has testified as much? I don't like fact-checking by moderators. I want the candidates to fact-check each other, because the opportunities for imbalance and the opportunities for calling something a fact, which is in fact a debatable set of conclusions based upon disparate evidence, is just too great. So I hope that it's Clinton versus Trump, not Lester Holt checking him and checking her. I just don't think that's good.
Well, respectfully, I disagree with my colleague, because I think that there are such a thing as facts, and I don't believe they're subjective. And I think that media is journalists. There are whole journalist departments. We both are sitting here talking to you with earpieces in, as will Lester Holt. So there'll be information that can be fed. Now, at the same time, we want to hear the candidates talk. And given Mr. Trump's propensity for not speaking the truth, more than likely we'd be saying that's a lie every other word. So that's not exactly a helpful thing either. Politics is theater with real bullets.
Well, given that politics is theater when it comes to fact-checking on policy and issues, can you see it going beyond that? Say, for instance, this whole Mark Cuban, Jennifer Flowers thing back and forth on Twitter, not necessarily meant to stay on Twitter, but will we see that? Will we see that on the debate stage, Joel?
Well, I think that, first of all, I think if Mr. Trump dare bring up infidelity, I would remind him that people in glass houses should do the nasty in the basement. president because he's a well-chronicled adulterer. So that isn't a useful thing for him. I think that doing this on Twitter is just simply setting the stage for the theater and a giant distraction. I want to have a real conversation with the candidates. America deserves that, not this distraction.
Do you think, Joel, last word, that we'll end up seeing that back and forth when it comes to this and the mudslinging? Do you expect that to happen?
Actually, I don't. Actually, I think Mr. Trump will surprise us and give a reserved performance. I would imagine they're calming him down as we speak because they want to have the element of surprise. And in this case, the element of surprise of not being a bully might be something that America goes, well, that wasn't too bad. Not good enough.
Hugh, to you, quickly.
I would just say I don't think real bullets are used, Joel. I think it is theater, and that real bullets are in North Carolina, Tulsa, and Seattle. They are in this land. They are serious things. This is, to a large extent, theater. This is not going to tell you who the better candidate is, which way the Supreme Court goes. And so I do believe we'll have a good exchange tomorrow night. I think 100 million Americans might watch it, and they'll take away their own opinions. And this mediated bully words that Ross Douthat wrote this week in the New York Times about Hillary's Samantha Bee problem, the insufferable leftism of the cultural hierarchy. I think that's helping Donald Trump, and I think it's going to continue to help him throughout tomorrow night.
All right, so much to watch tomorrow. Hugh Hewitt and Joel Silberman, thank you so much for both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
New poll numbers, including some from the battleground states, next, and we'll find out if former DNC chair Howard Dean is concerned at all.